Welcome to DevReady Podcast, where we're helping non-techs build better tech. Today, we're joined from An from Adash. He's one of the co-founders of Adash, which is all about connecting food content creators to fans. And An will share a little bit more about his experience. An, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And welcome aboard, An.
Hey, welcome. So, An, obviously, Adash founded, and more from a technical founder perspective, but tell us a bit about your background and history before Adash, and then we'll dig in a little bit into the story of Adash today.
Sure. So originally from Vietnam, I spent most of my working career in Singapore. Started out in the banking industry as the engineering side of things. Then I moved to a pure tech play company called Sapountzis. And it's a cybersecurity company from the US. If you remember some of those Norton antivirus software that you install on your Windows, then yeah, that's what they do. I was working on their email anti-spamming system, scaling and protecting people emails essentially. And then I moved to Australia after that and joined Amazon. So Amazon Web Services. I've been with Amazon Web Services and then the security side of it as well for more than 2 years, working on various different products. Before I decided to step out and co-founded the company. So yeah, so that's my journey and my background.
Quite a variety there.
Yeah, perfect. So there is a little bit there in terms of technical background and where you sort of come from. Adash, how did it all start? Where did it stem from? Was it an idea, a concept? Was it a meeting of co-founders? How did it come together?
Yeah, it has been an interesting journey. So startup has always been on my top priority list, what I want to do. So I had a short stint in Singapore, doing a bit of startup there as well. But then I decided to relocate the whole family to Australia. And I've been looking out for opportunities to start up a business, and after 2 years in Amazon, I knew it was the right time for me to try out new things. So I resigned and joined a community called Antler. So they are an early stage VC, and they are also helping you to meet with other like-minded entrepreneurs. So yeah, we met. Adash co-founders, we all met there, and we share the passion for creator economies, share the passion for food as well. So yeah, so that's how we started, from an idea, from how we met.
Okay, so you weren't founders outside of that network, as all met there with a shared idea.
Yeah, that's right. That's correct. So we met there. We came from different background though. I came in as with a technical background. Whereas my co-founder came in having expertise and network in the food space, restaurant industry as well. So that's how we came together.
In terms of that experience connecting through Antler, describe a little bit about that for people that have never been exposed to them, and maybe people listening to the podcast might be interested in going that angle, looking for co-founders and people they may want to connect with, building network. Talk a bit about that.
Sure, of course. Antler was helping basically people with ideas, concept, or people who are essentially just looking to form a startup, to meet and start discussing different ideas and different topics. And the goals really for them is to match people with different skill set, complementary skill sets, but sharing the same passion for certain things to start a business. So it was a very helpful and active community, and it still is at the moment. It's essentially the same concept as a meetup that you may join in your local areas, but more organized, and they do give you some professional support as well, in terms of network and certain advice that are helpful for you to start out things related to fundraising and all that. So yeah, so that's where we were.
So do they get involved in the startup at all, like with capital, or is it just a place for you to get together?
Oh, so they have a programs where if you have an ideas and you decided to build it and you probably show some tractions, for example, then they are willing to invest as well. They are a early stage, they are an early stage VC. So yeah, think of them as an investor as well.
Okay.
Brilliant. And how did you get involved with Antler? Was it just rock up to a networking event, or how did you approach it?
Yeah, essentially just a networking event. And then since I was actively looking for startup opportunities, I have already been attending a few different meetups, and Antler was one of those things that I attended to. And it turned out to be one of those things that I found the co-founders. So yeah.
It's an interesting story, very unique compared to everybody else on the journey that we've had on the podcast. So it is a unique one and something different that people can explore, connecting through networking events to find co-founders. You coming from a technical background bring a different experience, but I think, as we all know, it requires a number of skill sets in a startup to actually make a success. Requires some domain expertise, requires some business nous, some technical nous, especially in the technical space. So I think that's a really interesting way it's been structured. We've spoken to a number of people that are either just completely tech focused and they build technology and not sure how to commercialize, think about business, or the other way, they're all about the business, the domain knowledge, but then they go and outsource the tech and not even sure what's happening on the technology front. So I think that's a different spin on how you might approach it if you're looking to get involved in startup.
Yeah, that is true. And just recommend you the audience. There is another channel where you can look into that as well. There is a YC or Y Combinator platform where you can also meet co-founders online or offline. They will also try to help you match with like-minded entrepreneurs with complementary skill sets. So that could be another open platform that you can explore as well. And it has been getting more and more attention nowadays on that platform. So I think it could be helpful if you ever think about, hey, I want to do a startup, but I don't know where to start. Then maybe those are the platforms that you can look into, get some inspiration from, and possibly meet someone that you think you can work with for a long time. Or even try out working with someone and then see whether it works out or not.
Yeah, Y Combinator.
Yeah, I think it's all about trying.
Y Combinator is pretty big in the last few years. Their stats sort of
true.
speak for themselves as well. How many successful startups go to Series A from their initial funding?
Yeah.
Once they go through there, we applied for them with a recent startup. They didn't make it through, but they said once you get some customers, apply again. So they were interested, but the traction wasn't there yet.
Yeah, definitely. I think they can be a good platform as well. And there are other platforms out there. I mean, if you don't make it or if you don't feel like it's suitable, but surely they are one of those good ones. Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing. I think that's a very good sort of runway and segue into why startup. You obviously were keen on startups, looking at different ideas, concepts. One of the things is you said you always wanted to get into startup. So what drew you to it? So what was the fascination? What was what's the intent? Why startup for you?
Sure. So it's interesting. I think it's just in my blood. My whole family are entrepreneurials, so they're doing small business, medium businesses, and that's just how I was born and raised with. But on the other side of things, I feel like I can make a lot more impact with doing a startup. It doesn't mean that I didn't, or you cannot make an impact working for a corporate, but it's a different scenarios altogether. At least for me, I got to learn various different skills, not just technical, but also business skill, commercial skills, sales, marketing, HR, everything. And putting on the pieces of the puzzle together, you realize that, it could be very powerful when you're trying to change something. So I think that's the angle that I was looking into. So for example, with adash, it's essentially I saw the pain of my wife as a YouTube content creator. She has been doing yoga lessons online through YouTube and other channels, and Facebook and other channels. But it is hard to help to monetize and hard to make a living out of it, although it's her passion and her hobby. So I saw the pain of it on those. There are many fans and followers actually love her content, but they didn't have a way to support her. to pay for the content as well, except for watching a few of those advertisements on YouTube. So from that angle, I was like, yeah, if I could help just a few people to do what they like, then that would be awesome. That would just make it so much more interesting. So that was the angle that I've been diving into.
It makes a lot of sense in terms of background. I think we're accustomed to following a little bit of what our family does. I started my business because, yes, my family also had their own businesses. So interesting story. I think, we learn from the past, really.
Yeah.
And I think being in your own business, I think one of the key things you said there is you come from a technical background, but then you've been exposed to everything and anything, and you put on every different hat from sales, marketing. So it gives you a good breast of different types of things that happen in business and a good understanding of what happens. So, and then marrying it up with what your wife is doing and adash came about. I think that's, very interesting how it all stems together as just one chain after the other.
Yeah, that is true. And remember when Steve Jobs was talking about connecting the dots, you cannot, you have to connecting the dots, looking backward. I think that's how it is as well. Everything just comes together and and fall into place nicely. It doesn't mean that I have things figured out. It just means that I feel like I'm enjoying what I'm doing at the moment, and that's kind of important to me personally and to people around me.
One of the biggest realizations being in business is no one has it figured out.
Yeah,
I think it's you're always learning and it's changing, evolving.
It's always made up.
It looks like you may have it all figured out. Yes, but you've got that point figured out. What's the next step? How do we evolve? And what's changing around you? There's always something going on. And,
definitely.
It's never perfect, but really good to hear. Adash, now let's dig in a bit more about that and where it sort of stemmed from. So it's obviously content creators connecting to people that are interested in the content from a food perspective. So tell us a bit more about that. Was that one of your co-founders that was quite interested in that space, that had the domain expertise? Is that where it stemmed from?
Yeah, that is true as well. So my co-founders, they had one of them. So I have initially two co-founders. They worked in the restaurant industry, and then they have some connections and interest in that space, definitely for food. And the other co-founder was also working for a startup related to food in the UK. So the food is an interesting topic. I came from the angle of a content creator economy space. So basically, trying to support content creators. So content creators plus food is adash.
It's not a small market to be in for content creators.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where it sort of took off, was on the food. Everyone used to just take a photo on Instagram of what they were eating, and then that sort of blew up into that space.
That is true. It's a very dynamic space, and I respect a lot of people who are doing content creations like you guys as well. You are trying to make content that is relevant and helpful for the audience, and it takes a lot of time and effort to really make something good and relevant. So how to help people like you to make a living out of it, or maybe to figure something else out and grow, then that's important to me.
In terms of how it all came together, so obviously there's a tech component to this, there's a business component to this. Were you invested in by Antler, or how did that all come together?
Oh yeah, so so there was an investor. So basically, you got to pitch to Antler, and after pitching to Antler, we got their initial investment, and then we did continue to raise the next round as well, a pre-seed round, if you may call it, or an angel round. People have different definitions, but essentially, we have some funding to run and build adash.
In terms of where it is right now, how is the technology coming together in terms of the application, the solution? Where do you see it, and where does it need to get to from your perspective?
Sure. So it has definitely evolved a lot from a clickable prototype, if you can see it, like from Figma, you click things and everything. It evolved to an app that we put on the App Store with quite a good numbers of positive ratings. and quite a number of users as well, active paying users, to now a SaaS platform on the as a web app, where the content creator, food content creator specifically, can join us and then start to publish their recipes, their videos, their learnings, and everything that they can think and produce. And then they can also send our newsletter as well on the platform. So that's how they engage with the users. So it has definitely evolved a lot from an idea to a pretty big product portfolio. In terms of where it's gonna get to, I think it's always the same question throughout for startup, and especially for a tech startup like us, because we still need to adapt to the environment to see what exactly the creators are looking for, and then keep building surrounding that actual needs. So our goal is really just to help the creators to save their time and cut the cost and make some money. And whatever features we're building, we're gonna be based on the actual feedback that we are receiving.
And getting those stakeholders involved is critical, especially when you're looking for growth, to understand where to invest your efforts.
That is true. Yeah, there's always a trade-off between whether you want to do this or you want to do another one. So yeah.
I think one of the things you flagged at me was the Instagram thing that popped up recently, Anth, around the basically turning into TikTok, right? So, and then the backlash that came from that, obviously not listening to users and taking people's feedback on board. It's a bit of a blow up and a storm online.
Yeah, and then 2 days later they reverted all their new changes and let it go. Took the recommendations away and started listening. When the Kardashians,
it's amazing how they can do that.
Yeah, when the Kardashians start complaining, they can throw their weight around.
Yes, there's a problem.
It's amazing, and it's such an achievement or a feat that they can do it, because they are operating at such a scale that they can still be so agile, so moving so fast. So yeah, from that perspective, I think they are doing a great job of listening to users and responding very, very quickly. On the other side, of course, it's all about researching and testing with the users, and not trying to force the features into the user hand too quickly. Yeah.
How have you approached that piece? Because obviously that can be challenging, getting contact, communicating with users. How do you approach that? How do you approach feedback from users and driving the product roadmap? Because working in an agile environment is all well and good, provided we're engaging with users and getting continuous feedback. If we're just doing it in our own loop, then it's pointless. You might as well be building a waterfall. So yeah, I'd love to hear how you've run that to date with adash.
Yeah, spot on that. If we work in our silo, basically we do not know what the world is kind of looking for or what our users are asking for, then it's pointless. We can build a very polished platform. No one is going to use it. So the way that we are approaching it is we get as close as possible to the creators, and we are offering them the value and the service that we believe is going to help them, and we do not again put or force the features into their hands. They're going to use what feature that they feel like it's going to save them time and money. And we're going to look at the data. We're going to look at the statistics to see what are the most used features, so that we can put our effort on. At the same time, we talk to them directly. We support them day and night. Whenever they have issues, they send us a message. That's how we can get very close to them. We can support them for issues within adash or even outside of adash, just really to understand how the whole overall workflow is and what we can do to help. So I think that's how we get close to our users, our creators, and help them to do the work.
In terms of your team, obviously there's 3 or 4 co-founders. From a technology perspective, is it just you building this, or is there a bit of a team behind you? How have you approached that piece? Because technology can get pretty big pretty quickly. How do you manage that at the moment?
That is true, yeah. So again, it's another kind of evolutions as well. So we started out by myself building the prototype, so the app, the mobile app, because we didn't have much of the funding, and then it's useful for us to get a prototype and get it to the hands of the users quickly. So I built it myself, and then after we proved that yes, people are willing to pay, and people are happy to pay, and we got some funding as well based on the tractions that we've got. Then I went out and hired a team in my home country, Vietnam, because I have network in Singapore and Vietnam, and it's reasonable to have the hybrid model. So I have an engineering team in Vietnam, offshore team in Vietnam. They are helping me to build the current product portfolio. And while I'm working on the product roadmap, and of course getting my hands dirty and hands-on sometime as well. So that house we evolved from just me as the technical to a team of technical engineers as well.
Yeah, the hybrid model does have benefit when you understand the culture and you have network. We've done a similar thing with some people in our team in Oz that have helped us build an offshore team ourselves. I found it hard to just go anywhere and look for people, but I think if you know people and have a trust factor and can build a network, that is a great way to approach it. So anyone looking to build offshore teams, we've heard the horror stories being in tech for years around building offshore team not working at all, or just outsourcing not working at all. But you hear the good stories about people that have been able to really build a team, and generally they find that there's a link back. That's what I've noticed. There's a link back, or they know somebody there, or there's an ability to actually connect in that way. So I find that does help with the chance of success in that model.
Yep, that is true. I agree totally as well, because you got to build a trust, and then you got to build a working model, a scalable working model with that hybrid offshore team, because at the end of the day, how you work together is going to just shape the way that your product evolve. So a process in place, a team that you can trust in place is the utmost important things that we can focus on building. And yeah, that's totally understandable in terms of people not having so much success with, say, offshore or outsourcing team, because they don't have that either the connections or the trust or a process to do it. But it could be a very good kind of balance between cost and speed of development as well. Because as we all know, that the cost of development in those advanced countries like Australia, US, or even Singapore are very prohibitive for you to build things very quickly with just one or two engineers. So I think there's a good balance for all of us to keep. Yeah.
If you can make it work, it works well.
That is true. And we are happy at the moment so far with the models that we have been
That's
building.
Great to hear.
Yeah.
In terms of you've obviously come from corporate, being some big products and things like that. What's one thing that surprised you about stepping into a startup? What's been different for you? What's stood out as to, well, that's a little bit different?
Yeah, I guess probably 99% of the things are different. So it's just different or even opposite.
Yes.
You just got to get yourself cover everything, although it's not part of your, say, title. So basically, talking about title, so I'm a co-CEO and at the same time I'm a CTO. But at the end of the day, it doesn't mean anything, because you still got to do everything that is required to get it running. As I said, sales and marketing, HR, legal as well, like how to write contract, how to review the contract, and everything. And in the corporate world where I used to work I would tend to focus a lot on the functions that I'm in. So let's say I'm in technology functions, then it's unlikely that I need to work a lot with, say, marketing, or how we marketing a bank, for example. We still work with them, but we do not really understand fully how they work or what are the challenges they may be facing in full. So I think that's the difference. And the rest 1% that is the same is probably the human factor. So you're still working with many different people. and the way that you interact with them, you respect them, and keep things transparent, and build a trust remains the same, and that is the crucial 1% of the similarity.
Yeah, I find it fascinating. 99% different.
Yeah,
Because you need to be willing to jump on anything, and just be a part of anything, and just be willing to take a risk and put yourself out there and try new things. And I think it's one of the big things that we all need to be evolving and trying new things on a day-to-day basis. Because nothing ever really, in a startup environment, nothing's ever right. It's always, that works, or this could evolve, or how might we market better, or even how do we communicate our offering better. And as you speak to customers, you learn how they communicate around your product, which then relates to more customers. So it's a cycle, and unfortunately we don't have the people that can sit in each department to do it all. So that's the reality.
That's the reality of it. I totally agree with you.
I think a lot of startups and people starting a small business don't realize that they have to do everything. And when you tell them you have to do everything, they don't understand it until they do it.
Yeah, I think it's understandable, and at the same time, it's not for everyone either. Someone may prefer a corporate jobs because it's different. It's whereas someone may not fit in the corporate jobs, and it's totally fine as well. So as you said, Andrew, nothing is wrong or right here. It's more like whether you find yourself in a corporate jobs or in a startup scenes. And I have seen people who jump from corporate to startup and quickly realize not for them, and they get back to the previous job in like 2 weeks. But I have seen the other way as well. People in startup jumping into a corporate world and was like, oh, what is this? So then they jump back in to startup. So I think it's a common thing.
It depends on personality type, really, in the end. And your risk appetite too, because being in startup you need to have a risk appetite and be aware that you are at risk of failure at any point in time, really. That's the reality of startup. In a corporate world, you can possibly linger on for a year or two and not much happens. So it's a very different environment. So and they're a bit of get up and go, and willing to move fast, learn, evolve, take a hit or two, because it's going to happen, and get up and go again. So that's the world of startup in terms of learning and business, really.
I would agree. Yeah, it's all about the mentality as well. You fail and then you get back up. As long as you can get back up, and then it's not a failure. That's actually a good learning.
Definitely. I find that being in the world of business you're always developing as a person. You have to, because if you're not, there's no growth. You need to grow as a person to grow a business. That's my thoughts in terms of working in business, to expand your thinking, your knowledge, your ability to maybe do something you didn't do yesterday, and just taking those new risks, being uncomfortable in different situations, and then getting comfortable with those, and then going again, what else can we do as a business? So that's the world of startup and business from what I've learned, and that's taught me a lot. And in terms of growing as people, I think there's a bit in that as well.
Yep, I agree. Totally agree on that one.
Yeah, with adash, what's the big picture vision? Where do you want to take it? Obviously, you want to take over the world like every other startup and add value to millions and millions of content creators. But what's your goal? What's your objective in terms of your perspective?
I think yes. Our vision is to help as many food content creators as possible, but we also have a bigger visions as well to expand it to other verticals, not just food. So food is what we started out with, and that is very close to probably almost everyone in terms of what you are eating every day and on that. But on the other hand, the creator economy space is so big that you can apply probably the same concept to different verticals. Think of it like sports or maybe DIY. All of those space are having the potentials, and people are creating contents there as well. So that's what we are looking in the future. But at the moment, it's one step at a time, trying to to help a set of users first before we move on to the next thing. Yeah.
In terms of that end, what are some of the key things that draw a content creator to adash? and start considering using the platform to put their content on, either rather than or in conjunction with a YouTube, for example?
Sure. Yeah. So for us, we provide the tool and the software for the food content creators to be able to upload the recipes, organize the recipes in a specific way. And it's not like a generic platform when you can just upload the videos and then you copy a bunch of text. You actually help them to organize their content and send out things like newsletter, link all the content together. So for example, if you think of a recipe, in a recipe, you may have different techniques that you are not so used to as a beginner, or maybe there's some advanced technique or a new technique that you are not used to and you want to try it out. Our platform allows the food content creators to link them up together. And so then you watch the videos, a recipe, and then you know, oh, maybe I want to learn this technique. Then you can see that, oh, there's a technique related to it. And all of them are free of advertisement. So unlike YouTube, where they make money a lot on advertisements, they are changing, but their primary source of revenues are advertisements. We do not put an ads on it. We essentially ask people to say, hey, if you like this content and if you want to see more or you want to see some of those premium content, then support the creators and give and do the subscriptions. So I think that's a different revenue model as well. We keep it clean and we keep it high quality. So I think that's how we tackle it.
In terms of your current target market for creators, is there a specific niche within food, or is it anybody and everybody right now?
At the moment, it's everybody actually. So food is so big. We have, and because we are a SaaS platform, the creators can essentially choose to organize their own page as they wish. So if they are, say, a vegan kind of creators, then they can choose to organize their look and feel according to that. And our market is global as well. So we don't have, let's say, Australian alone or something, but we actually targeting both Australian, US market, Southeast Asia, essentially anyone who we think can bring values to a big number of audience. We are happy to onboard and support. The goal in the future is, of course, to open it up to everyone, but we'll need to scale it step by step so that we make sure the experience is good for both the creators and for the users.
In terms of to date, what's some of the biggest challenges that have been in the way of rolling this out, either technology or business side? What are some of your biggest challenges you've faced?
Yeah, I think we do see challenges probably every day. So it's from, say, technical perspective to, say, business perspective. So for example, last night we stayed like 3-4 a.m. to just helping to fix a bugs related to some SSL certificate. So it seems so small, and you tend to think that, oh, it may not happen, but things do happen. So those things like how to make sure that you can support the creators, how to make sure that you can provide them with the service and the values that they can get, at the same time balance your how you move forward as well. Like essentially you cannot stay up late every day, and it's not healthy, it's not sustainable. So that is one of the challenge of how we do things in a probably a smarter way to help. It could be manual, but it can then get smarter and automated to help the creators and the startup to move along together and be sustainable. So I think that's one of those challenges. And of course, things around how we build certain things that can help the creators, whether we should build this one first or the other one first. What is the benefit of it? What is the cost of it? Those trade-offs we have to make probably every day to make sure that the product evolves.
Yeah, you're always weighing up different things, and there's always something that pops up. Find that on a day-to-day basis. A fair point. There's a challenge every day. But in any business, it's all about operational efficiency and improvement. Even in startup, how do you just automate some things or just keep things ticking along so probably you don't make the same mistakes you did yesterday? And I think it's just how do you keep evolving, because there's no perfect solution, copy paste, this is what to do. It's just do, learn, evolve, and that's the reality of what you're in, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what makes the whole thing interesting and kind of fascinating at the same time. You don't, when you kind of in it, you don't feel like you are working for it or anything. So for me, I don't feel like. So let's say even talking about 2 or 3 a.m., I'm not like proud of it, or it's not like we should be proud of working so late. But it just means that I don't feel like I was working. It just feel like, oh yeah, it's just part of the fun. It's just part of the roller coaster ride that we're doing. And it didn't feel like work for me. So I'm not going to go and then say, hey, I have to work until 2 or 3 a.m. because this is startup and this is horrible and all that. I just was like, yeah, it's fun. It's part of the game. And I enjoyed it. And then I can slept in the morning as well. Slept late. Flexible. And then I told my team that, hey, guys, I'm tired. I have to take a bit of recharge. And everyone understanding. And that's the fun of the game. Yeah.
Mm. I was gonna say, yeah, if it's not for the fun and the enjoyment, then there's no point.
Yeah, that is true.
I think that part of the fun comes about the concept, what you're working on, and the people you're around.
That's true.
In terms of the right team, right fit, I think that's also a pivotal piece. How is your team work cohesively together? Have you found that has been going really well from a team perspective?
Yeah, I think the fundamentals of how we work together is probably based on trust and understanding and respect. So we always try our best to respect other people's perspectives, because for sure there's different opinions, different ideas, different perspective, and sometimes we do our best to understand people as well. Sometimes people may need space. They may be grumpy because they need some space. I may be grumpy because I stay up late, or maybe because because I couldn't make these things work. So then giving each other space and respect them is how we can kind of build a trust over time. I think that's fundamentally how we work together and how we can get this far in this journey. And it's not easy. It's never easy. One of the team members decided it's time for them to step back, to support the business, to support the family, and it's a happy time for everyone. So that's how we support each other, how we move things together forward.
Things will evolve and they'll change, and for some people, like you said, it's not right for them long term, so that will evolve. And I hear plenty of stories of people have founders. One wants to step back, and then all of a sudden the business is gone because there's one or two of them. So it's a battle to stay alive sometimes and get to next steps, and then keep investing, evolving, and then hopefully get to that tipping point where people come on board, creators are thriving, businesses generating revenue, and things are moving in the direction that you'll hope for. So thanks for coming on, An. It's really been a pleasure talking about the story of Adash and your background and how it's all come together to date. And wish you all the best on the journey, because I think it's a good initiative. There's all content's been eaten up by the likes of Instagrams, YouTubes, TikToks of the world, Facebook a little bit there too. So I think there's room for other verticals and people to play in this space. So it's such a big and vast area. So good luck with it all, and wish you all the best.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for doing this as well. I'm sure it's going to help a lot of other people. And feel free to, of course, reach out to me anytime if anything that I can help you with on your journey. Yeah.
No problem. Thank you.
And if anyone wants to learn about Adash, it's just adashapp.com, and just go check it out.
Yep, there's another domain called adash.me as well, and those are the two platforms that we're actively promoting.
Right, we'll put them in the notes, and thanks for coming on board and sharing their story.
Thanks for coming on DevReady Podcast. Cheers, An.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.